Hey guys, welcome to the Capital Performance Solution. I am Seth Green. Obviously, you know who I am if you're in the community. I got a slightly blue mouth from my methylene blue to help me focus and knock these out. But I figured we would start with the granddaddy, the one everybody's interested about, aka Retatrutide or R3 Stream 15. So, what does Retatrutide do? It's a triple agonist and it's a GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon expression. So think of it as a diversified profile of fat burning. Now, the way this works, it suppresses your appetite, accelerates your metabolism, and it preserves lean muscle mass, which is something that you don't see a lot with Ozempic and tirzepatide. A lot of that is also lifestyle. Many people do not eat enough protein, and they don't lift weights, and they sit on the couch and expect these to be miracle cures, and they look like bags of shit afterwards. That's why you see some people get the Ozempic face, or they look like fucking deflated water balloons after taking some of the GLP-1s. This can all be managed a lot easier on Retta because it does not suppress your appetite nearly as hard. One other benefit that it has is it lowers your blood glucose, so it will also improve your focus if you're getting brain fog throughout the day, which is something a lot of people experience, especially that midday swoon after lunch after your blood sugar crashes. Trials show an average body weight loss of 24% over 48 weeks. So two things to note there. This is body weight, not just fat. When you look at the average human, say the average male is about 200 pounds, 25% of that weight is 50 pounds. So they lose about 50 pounds in 48 weeks. 48 weeks is nearly a year. So when you're looking at the boxes that we have, the J-curve protocol, 48 weeks is a long time. That's why I make them 3 months long, because a lot of people think they can get one vial of Retta and it's going to solve their issues. They're going to lose all their weight and keep it off. That's not how this works whatsoever. You need to be able to be on it for an extended period of time, but also be making the lifestyle changes necessary to get there. Obviously, I have my own protocol that works extremely well so far. You know, the occasional lab rats that want to try Retatrutide tend to have very good success combining it with GH and testosterone at times. I have some people who use that without TRT, and everybody so far has had extreme results. I have seen up to 50 pounds lost in under 20 weeks with some subjects. So take that as you will. We have this dialed in extremely, extremely well. 96% of fatty liver disease was cured in the studies, which was a very significant finding because that visceral fat people complain about, people don't know what the fuck visceral fat is, and that drives me nuts too. Visceral fat you cannot see. It's the fat around your organs that leads to health issues down the line, unless you're doing an ultrasound. But many people see the word visceral and they think it's like their subcutaneous belly fat, like, oh, I just carry a lot of visceral fat. You don't know what fucking visceral fat you have unless they've done an ultrasound on your liver. But a lot of people that struggle with that will have this cured with Retatrutide. And there will be a very large improvement in lipids and cardiac markers, and that is a big one I've seen. I've seen people that are borderline diabetic literally cure their diabetes just being on Retatrutide and changing their lifestyle. And that's the big thing I aim for. I want people to be able to change their entire lifestyle, become healthier, and be able to make sharper decisions. And that's going to increase your lifelong earning potential too. You think if you're able to perform at your highest, you can work 5-6 years longer at a very high level, be shredded, be more confident, you're going to close more deals, you're going to make more money, you can work 6 more years at your prime earnings. It's literally millions of dollars on the table we're talking about if we get all this shit together. And I have the data to back it up. You see it inside the Skool community. Go into my data deep dives. It's all right there. It's one of those things that cannot be denied at this point. Side effects of Retatrutide. Not for human use, so make sure if you're a lab rat and then you're really interested in using this to take caution. FDA has not approved it. Once the FDA does, then Eli Lilly will jack the price up 3,000% like they do with everything else, and then it'll be approved as long as you go through your insurance and pay 10 times the cost for it. But, you know, it's your choice. Just know that it's not approved for human use, and I'm not recommending you use this as a human. You might have some GI distress. That's pretty typical with GLPs, especially if you use a higher dose. That's why we start pretty low. Rare skin irritation. Every once in a great while, people have skin irritation on it. That and also alcohol seeming to hit harder if you drink are two kind of rare side effects that some people seem to have. So things to look out for. Seems to counteract ADHD medicine. That is something that a couple of my clients have complained about. I myself have ADHD, I take the medicine, I take Retatrutide. I have not noticed a significant difference myself, but I've had some people swear up and down it changes how it performs for them. Now, I don't know if some of that is blood glucose regulation aspect of it or exactly what it is, but they say that Reta seems to make them focus better without needing the stimulants, and their stimulants don't do anything for them at that point. Another side effect is obviously appetite suppression, which can be too extreme for some people. Generally, I don't see this on Reta. I see it on tirzepatide a lot. Tirzepatide is human approved. Remember, even though these are the same class of drugs, this one is not approved yet. Quality control is another concern. We've all seen websites all over the place, Facebook Marketplace. People are selling this shit everywhere under the sun. Whether or not you're getting actual quality Reta that's verified and straight from the factory is a whole different story. That's why I've worked hard to source it myself. As I've told you before, I paid over 80 grand in just cost this year to get my sourcing and TRT clinics and blood work and everything else set up for you guys. Now, your average fitness coach makes like fucking 10K a month, or at best. A lot of them struggle for leads. Are they going to pay 80 grand to make sure you guys get the highest quality shit and have everything built out? Fuck no. So if you want known quality, obviously the boxes I have are great. There are a couple sites that will list their COAs. So check their COAs and cross-reference them. Make sure that they're accurately dated and they're from the same factory and they're preferably from Janosik or a third-party lab that you know about, not just some random ass lab nobody knows. This has been a big stickler for me. I have had probably thousands at this point of people messaging me about quality control issues. So definitely something to look out for. Now, whether or not it's the quality for some of these people or the fact their diet shit and they refuse to get a coach and they're going to DIY it and just fucking fail in the first place, that's another thing too. So just other considerations to have there. Now, in terms of dosing it, use the lowest effective dose. Start at 1 milligram, work up from there. I made a whole YouTube series on myself trying to microdose it, trying different dosing strategies to see what worked. I was one of the first people to do it. You can go look up my YouTube. It's from 2024. People weren't using Reta back then. I had really started using it. And after Chase used it myself to see, because I knew it was safe at that point, I knew where to source it. I noticed microdosing didn't really do fuck all, if I'm being honest. Now, what I mean by microdose is like dosing every day in small amounts. 2 or 3 times a week, breaking up the dose, that's fine. You do like a 3 and a 3 if you're up to like 6 milligrams, and that just has a more even appetite suppression throughout the week instead of having it taper off for some people. Like that's totally fine. But the people that want to do like, 500 micrograms a day and it's going to make a difference, that it's fucking placebo. These are the dumbasses that believe in Sasquatch and shit like that. And don't rely on it as a crutch. So when you're dosing it, make sure you dose it appropriately. Don't overdose thinking, oh, I'm going to go to a wedding this week. I'm going to take extra to make sure I don't eat. Because you're just going to end up sick and feeling like shit. If you overdo it, you do feel like shit. I've done it before. I've mixed up my vials of GH and Reta before. Done way too much of it. I did like 8 or 10 milligrams of Reta, and it was not a fun experience. I could only eat about 1 meal a day, and I had kind of a headache throughout the day. Just kind of feeling like I didn't have the same energy I usually do. So don't overdose it for the sake of overdosing it. Now, benefits of it, less hunger signaling, so you won't be as aggressively hungry, which is really nice. It just eliminates the food noise more than anything. So I'm not thinking about my next meal when I take it. Other lab subjects have also said the same. They just don't think about it and they just seem to burn fat easier without overeating. But when you go to eat, you can eat normally on it, which is really nice. Improved body composition. So obviously it helps burn fat directly, which is going to give you a sharper look, more muscular look by preserving muscle mass and reducing the amount of belly fat. Now, at the same time, you still do need to combine this with a smart, tailored plan to you, which is what the Wealthy Body One-on-One addresses. So don't come in here thinking you're just going to rail a bunch of Reta and magically be fucking shredded, because that's not how it works. If it worked that way, a lot more people would be doing it. Also, less brain fog. We kind of talked about that before. If you are diabetic or you have higher blood glucose, it will eliminate your brain fog. It also seems to help some people with their ADHD. So can this have productivity benefits? Also, yes. That's why it's also included in the performance stack. But that's something you'll have to dial in yourself and kind of see on your own. Now, the real ROI, I'm going to treat that like real fucking talk. Likely multiple 6 figures, if we're being honest. You think 5 to 6 years of your top earning potential can be added if you're not diabetic, you don't have heart disease, you don't have all these problems that force you to retire early or take extra sick days. 5 to 6 extra sick days a year really add up, especially if they're unpaid. The opportunity cost, you think of this, how many years, how much money have you spent in little bunches, trying personal trainers, cooking. You've already spent it in the gym, so that gym membership, every time you tried a new diet and wasted fucking weeks and weeks and weeks not making progress, all the random shit you bought over the years, it adds up. The average American has spent over 20 grand on shit unsuccessfully to lose weight or get their ideal body. And that might be on the low end. So when people balk at like just a couple $100 to fucking fix their shit, it blows my mind. Now, you guys, I don't have much of an issue with. You're all higher earners. It's not as much a problem, but it's just one of those things that I consistently see people complain about, or they don't put the value in their mind to an actual dollar amount to realize how much money and time they've fucking lost on something they could have fixed years ago and been where they want to be and actually earning more money every single year. Because when you come into a room, you own the fucking room, you have a sales deal, a commission deal, whatever the fuck it is, you're more likely to close that if you look confident, have a good presence, and people actually believe you. If they don't have trust in you because you look like a fat slob and you're like unconfident and not on top of your shit, yeah, it's going to fucking cost you in the long run. So I think it also saves you in future MD bills that you haven't incurred yet, or maybe you have in the past because of the rather loose lifestyle you've been living. It may potentially replace diabetes medications down the line too. So if you address it now, any of those that you would need to buy in the future, you now don't need to buy. So metformin through your insurance is going to be a lot more expensive than Retatrutide through us, let's be honest. And making sure that you get the appropriate amount of it dosed the way you should, and everything completely dialed in from a lifestyle standpoint is going to go a lot further than whatever the fuck your fat ass doctor wants. And this can also apply to dating too. So if you're still single, that is something a lot of people struggle with, is confidence in their body image. So obviously that's improved. You're not paying for Tinder, you're not paying for dates, you're not wasting time that you could be making money going out on stupid ass dates with a bunch of fucking sixes, hoping that one of them gives you attention. So to wrap it up, yes, Retatrutide is a very, very powerful fat burner and appetite suppressant. It can help you get shredded for sure, but it's not going to be able to override a bad diet or a bad plan. It's just like if you had a really good, solid, long-term investment plan, and then you get fucking all bricked up over GameStop or something, going to the fucking moon and take all your money out and gamble on that. You can lose it just like that. So be smart, have a plan set in place, stick to that plan, use the data, make data-driven decisions. Don't be a fucking dumbass is what it comes down to. And we address that in the Wealthy Body one-on-one, especially the mindset and everything else. You guys have access to some of that inside of the Skool, but there is more components to that inside my one-on-ones. So really just don't think of it as a catch-all, but it is a very important tool, and it's kind of like adding gasoline to the fire.